Hello everyone, welcome to the Arthur Conan Doyle Center YouTube channel. My name is Kat and today I will teach you a little bit about how to read tarot cards. So the plan is to have a few different videos explaining all of the cards. So one by one, walking through each of the cards and explaining the energies, maybe a couple of keywords for all of them. So if you're just starting with reading tarot, then at least you have just a video to refer back to when you're still trying to learn, when you're still trying to figure things out. So with this video, we are going to look at the major arcana. So if you are a complete beginner, in tarot we divide the tarot cards into the major arcana and the minor arcana. So with the major arcana that we are looking at today, there are, let me double check, 22 cards. So because the full is number 0, so that always throws me off a bit. So there are 22 cards and they all talk about very big energies. They talk about archetypes. So whenever you get major arcana cards in your reading, then it means there are some very big energies happening. So always pay attention to these. And then in separate videos, we will look at all the minor arcana, so the swords, the pentacles, wands, and cups. But that's in a different video. So in this one, I will teach you just basics about the major arcana. And I'm using the Rider-Waite tarot, and I wish I had a bigger deck, but you can always look the Images app on Google, or you can buy your own deck and look at all of the details by yourself. Okay, so just to start with, as I said, there are 22 cards, and well, it starts with the Fool, although it is number 0. So if you just take a quick look here. So the Fool, number 0. So sometimes people wonder if the Fool being a 0, if it should be at the beginning or it should be at the end of the major arcana. But to me personally, it is at the beginning, because the Fool, the main energies are beginning of a journey. So as you can see with the Fool, stepping over the cliff, a new beginning, when you have to jump into a situation that perhaps you're not entirely sure what's going to happen. Maybe other people are telling you, this is a bit silly, this is stupid, why are you doing this? But the Fool has this trust in the universe. The Fool knows that if he follows his instincts, then he will always get what he wants. So with this card also, I really like all the colors here, especially the yellow. And even if you look at the body language, it's very open. There's a lot of spontaneous energy here. And also there is that little white flower. And to me, it makes me think of having pure intentions. So starting something because you feel this is the right time and feeling like, okay, I have to start something new. So when the Fool appears in your reading, it does signify new beginnings, some sort of new journey starting, and having faith, having optimism. Of course, if we look at it from a less, maybe from, not less light, from a darker side, because sometimes I would read the cards in reverse. So the dark side of Fool would be somebody who is reckless, somebody who jumps into new situations without thinking too much. Or on the other side, people who would like to start something new, but something is blocking them. So it's as if almost stepping over the cliff and then stepping back and saying, no, I will do that tomorrow, I will do that next week, I will start that eventually, but not today. So there are these different energies here with the Fool. And of course, it's all about the cards that are surrounding the Fool. But for the main energies, a new beginning, a new journey. Alternatively, being reckless, jumping into new things without preparation, or being blocked from starting something new. So this is the Fool, so that's the first card. Next, we have the Magician. So I'll just show this to the camera. So with the Magician, number 1, Magician is all about manifestation. It's about having all of the tools that you need to manifest whatever you wish. So if you look at the card, the magician has all of the tools. So he has the sword, the cup, the pentacle, and the wand. So we will talk a bit more about these elements in the other videos when we're looking at the minor arcana. But basically, looking at all of these separate elements, so the sword is all about intellect, it's all about our mind, how we process information. So the magician has an idea, magician has a vision. Then with the cup, there is that emotional maturity, there is connection to feelings. With the wand, wait, where's the wand? It's here. So with the wand, he knows when to act, because wands are all about action. It's about enthusiasm. It's about having that inner fire. And then with the pentacles, he knows how to manifest it in material reality, how to bring it to life. So if you think about it, sometimes we might have the greatest idea, but we don't really know how to go about it in real life. So with the magician, we have all of these tools and we can manifest whatever we want. So when this card appears in a reading, it means that we are manifesting something. Whatever it is, whether it's an idea or we're working on a project, it means that we are going in the right direction. We just have to make things happen. And again, we are continuing with that yellow color. So if you look at the Fool and the Magician, to me yellow always speaks of having that optimism, being very open-minded and believing that things will go well. So that's the Magician. So manifestation, that is the main, that's the key word for me with the Magician. However, if we look at it from a different side, as if it was blocked, then the Magician can speak of a person who has all of the tools and they know how to manifest things, but they can manifest it for the wrong reasons. So somebody like a trickster, somebody who is very intelligent, but they know how to use that intelligence to take advantage of other people. So somebody who can be quite charismatic and they know how to talk to people, they know how to go about things to get what they want. So in terms of the darker side, it would be the trickster. And if the energy is blocked, it means that we have all of the tools and we can manifest whatever we want, and yet we don't really believe in it. We still think that there's something missing. I'm still not really sure how to use all of these tools. So just to quickly summarize it, manifestation on a dark level, it's about the trickster energy, or somebody who doesn't have the confidence to manifest things, even though they have all of the tools. So that's Magician, number one. And then after Magician, a very outward energy, we are moving towards the High Priestess. So if you take a look at the cards, so we have the High Priestess, and she is sitting between two pillars, black and white. And this is quite important because it does signify duality, the dark and the light, the consciousness and the subconscious. And the High Priestess, I always think of it as somebody who has some secrets, somebody who knows things that other people don't. There is an element of secret knowledge here, and with that scroll I always think that she has some secret things written there. So whenever the High Priestess appears in a reading, it does show a person who is connected to their intuition, who is connected to something that is hidden. So somebody who knows how to connect to their subconsciousness as well. It can talk about dreams as well. That would also be the Moon card, but here it's knowing things that not everyone knows, and that's why there's that connection to your intuition. Also, if I would compare it to the Magician, this is somebody who knows things and acts on them, while the High Priestess is somebody who knows things but keeps them to themselves. On the dark side, it could be somebody who is so hidden, somebody who's really keeping to themselves, that they don't reveal even a single piece of information. Or if this energy is blocked, it could signify somebody who has the intuition but doesn't believe in it. So even if there is some sort of hunch or I feel like maybe I should go this way, they would still question themselves and be like, no, that's just silly, I'm not going to do it. So it's about unblocking it and really going ahead with that intuition. So this was the High Priestess, number 2. And from this card, from more inward energy, we are moving on to number 3, which is the Empress. So if you take a look at it. So with the Empress, this is a very feminine card. It always makes me think of Venus energy, especially Taurus, because Taurus as a sign is ruled by Venus. And with Empress, there's a feeling of abundance. There's always enough. There's a feeling of, I would say it's similar to the Magician in a certain way, but while Magician goes for things, it's more outward about it. To me, Empress is as if, okay, I want this and it will come to me in a much more passive way. So you can actually see the Venus sign here on the shield of the Empress. And with all of the crops, there is a feeling of abundance, there is a feeling of being rich, whether it is about material wealth or whether it is spiritual wealth or just a feeling of abundance that whatever happens, the universe will always provide for us. Another thing with this card, to me it shows this very feminine energy of not really going after things but letting them come to you. Also, the power of creating things. In some decks, I don't think it's in this one, but in some decks the Empress is shown pregnant. So it's being pregnant with different projects, being pregnant with ideas, overall fertility. When we look at the dark side of the Empress, it would be somebody who is connected perhaps too much to the material side of things, somebody who wants luxury, somebody who's only concerned with money, and there's no connection to that more spiritual side of things, or believing that only the material side of life is important. Also, if the energy is blocked, it could be a person who is not connected to their feminine energy, somebody who only believes in logic and reason and doing things in a certain way. While the Empress, to me, just follows the natural cycles, because with nature there's always the 4 seasons and there's a natural rhythm to them. So that's Empress number 3. And also in numerology, number 3 is all about creativity and expansion, which actually makes sense if the Empress is pregnant, so there is that expansion happening. And after Empress, we actually have the Emperor, so they are seen as a couple in Tarot, and they are 2 different dimensions of energy. So just like in the High Priestess, we had the black and white, this duality. In the Empress and the Emperor, we have the masculine and the feminine. So if I just show it to you a bit closer. So the Emperor is number 4. And as you can see, it's an older man sitting on a throne. And to me, the Emperor speaks of that very masculine energy of after you have been working hard on something and you have achieved something great for yourself. Being an authority, being responsible for things. And you have your throne and you are a leader. So this is the energy of the Emperor. Also, number 4 speaks of stability, structures, so building something that will last a long time. If I would look at this from the dark side of the Emperor, this could be a person who is an authority, but perhaps somebody who is too strict, somebody who is very closed off, somebody who would say, I say how things are done, and this is it, you can't really discuss with me. So somebody like a dictator, a very hard energy that cannot be accessed. So it's almost like a wall between you and this person, and they believe that they are in charge, so they get the final say. If this energy is blocked, I would see it as somebody who does not create strong enough boundaries, somebody who allows other people to infiltrate and walk all over them. Because the Emperor says, look, this is my kingdom and I will do things my way. But if there's not enough confidence, then the boundaries are non-existent. So this is the darker side of the Emperor as well as the blocked side. And then from the Emperor, number 4, we move on to number 5, which is the Hierophant. And there's all sorts of ways of pronouncing this word, so just do whatever feels right to you. So this is the card. And the Hierophant is traditionally seen as an energy of, well, tradition, tradition, beliefs, spiritual beliefs as well, religion. There is an element of hierarchy that the Hierophant would be at the top, and then there would be people below him. So I would see this card as a spiritual leader, somebody who is in charge of a whole structure of things, whether it is somebody like a pope in the church, or whether a spiritual guru or some sort of spiritual advisor. To me, this is Hierophant. And also it could talk about institutions that have a very set structure. In terms of the darker energy, the Hierophant can sometimes get stuck in the traditional way of doing things, that, you know, first it has to be done this way, and then that way, and then that way. So perhaps sticking too strongly to the traditional side of things. But if we look at it from the other way, so if I would read the Hierophant in reverse, it could talk about somebody doing things in an unconventional way, doing things differently, being much more original and freeing yourself from this structure. Another thing, the Hierophant can also signify marriage, because if you think about marriage, it is a type of, well, it's when you come together with another person and there's a legal element to it. So the Hierophant can also signify that. In terms of numerology, with number 5, 5 shows changes. And I feel like the Hierophant tries to keep things as they are. So trying to avoid that change. So yes, so just in a few words, religion, institutions, somebody who's a spiritual advisor, somebody who is at the top of some sort of establishment. So this is number 5, the Hierophant. And then from 5 we move on to number 6. So this is the Lover's card, and traditionally it was called the Choice. So there would be a man and there would be 2 other women, so he had to make a choice which way to go. And despite the name, the Lovers, actually I see this card as having to make a choice which way to go. So even the way the card is structured, it does make me think of 2 separate options or 2 separate individuals, and you really have to decide what to do. Again, there is that duality in this card. So if I would go back to the High Priestess, so the black and the white, and then feminine and masculine. So with this card, it is about balancing out the masculine with the feminine. And that's also numerologically with the number 6. It talks about balance. So whenever this card would show up, it can talk about connections with people, it can talk about relationships, but it can also signify balance. And with the angel here at the top, it is a union that is being spiritually approved, or there is somebody looking after you. That whichever way you go, whichever choice you make, there is that spiritual advice ready for you. So this is number 6. And then we are continuing with duality. Oh no, actually, the dark side of the Lovers. I forgot about that. So with this card, there could be lack of balance. So maybe we identify more with the feminine side, or we identify more with the masculine side, and there's just too much on one side and not enough on the other. So we can't really figure out what to do. We can't figure out which way to go. If this energy is blocked, so if it would be reversed, I feel like I would also read it as lack of balance, or identifying with one energy more than the other. So then, moving on to number 7, Chariot. So again, we are having this duality of black and white, of masculine and feminine, active and passive, yin and yang. And the Chariot talks about fast movement. So when we do have some sort of goal, and then we can move towards it with confidence. However, here with this card, it is about making sure you have these 2 energies in balance. So imagine you have 2 horses. Well, I know it's not horses, but imagine it's horses, and they have to go in the same direction, because if one horse goes this way and the other horse goes that way, then if you're in the chariot, this is it. You're not going to go far. So with the chariot, fast movement, success, but when you are able to balance out these two opposing energies so that they can carry you towards your goal. When the energy is blocked, I would see it as either lack of movement, so the horse is just saying, no, I'm not gonna take you anywhere, it's just no. So you are sitting in the chariot and nothing is happening. Or the other way around, when things are out of control, when the horses are running so quick that you cannot stop them and you have no control. You can just sit in the chariot and pray for the best that you will not hit some rock and end up badly. So this is the chariot. And in terms of numerology, number 7, I see it as, again, from 6 of number of balance, 7, we are moving forward. There's also a little bit of instability here, but I feel like that's why we have that duality here. We're trying to somehow make sense of it and find that balance. So after 7, we have number 8. So this is the strength card. So if you look at this, so it's a lady taming a lion. And just as the name of the card suggests, the strength, it talks about having strength, but I see it more as strength of character. So the symbolism here, it is all about being in control of energies that can take over sometimes, especially energies that are quite wild, so almost like our animal side. Feelings, emotions, that can take over and we feel like we have no control. So the strength, instead of using, well, physical strength, it's all about approaching things in a gentle manner and not really, fighting with the lion or punching the lion. It's more like just doing it gently. And this is how we can work with our weaknesses, with things that we're maybe not entirely happy about. So when it comes to the dark side of the strength, this is when the lion takes over, and this is when our weaknesses take over, and when we can't really do anything because we are paralyzed by the fear, we are paralyzed by the lion. Also, if the card is blocked, so if you would see it in reverse, I do see it as having the strength and yet not making use of it, or being scared how to deal with that lion being overwhelmed by this energy. So with number 8, we are also coming towards the end of the cycle, because 9 would be the final number, and we have accumulated something and we are looking back. So it's the same with this card, learning how to deal with whatever has accumulated within us. So in a reading, strength, having that inner strength to deal with whatever life throws at you. So this is number 8, and from that nice sunny day, all the yellow, we are moving towards the Hermit. So this is number 9. So if you look at this, so the Hermit with number 9, it talks about withdrawing and going on this inner journey all by yourself, so that you can learn more about who you are, so that you can have some spiritual experiences, and all you have with you is this lantern with the star. And I do see it as your wisdom guiding you through all these dark places. It can also talk about the dark night of the soul, where we feel so when we feel overwhelmed by all of these difficult energies and we feel like there's no hope. But the Hermit says there's always a way out, and we just have to go within and we have to look for the answers within ourselves. So if this card would show up in the reading, it could suggest that it's time to just maybe disconnect from people, disconnect from the society, and stay in a quiet place and just look for the answers within you. When this energy is blocked, or when it's the dark side of the energy, I do see it as withdrawing too much, being isolated, and feeling that nobody will understand me anyway, so what's the point of really leaving my isolation? So it's taking that time alone to an extreme, or the other way around, refusing to go within, refusing to spend time alone because of, let's say, certain fears. So also with number 9, I would see it as closing certain cycles, closing that whole perhaps cycle of development, and realizing that you do have the wisdom that you need thanks to the Hermit. So after the Hermit, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So this is number 10. And just as the name suggests, Wheel of Fortune, well, sometimes the wheel is in your favor, sometimes it's not. So I always think of this card as the universe already has planned all of this for you, and there's not much you can do, and it's outside of your control. And no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, the universe will still get its way. So if this card appears in a reading, yes, I would just say, look, it's outside of your control. There's not much you can do because the universe already has planned. With number 10, it's a conclusion. It's closing off a cycle. So perhaps universe will bring on such an unexpected event that you would never even think about it, and then it would naturally create a conclusion. If I would look at the dark side of this card, I don't know if I would say this is the dark side, but sometimes feeling like the universe always is giving you difficult lessons, feeling that the fortune is never in your favor, and that you have to pay some karmic debts. Because some people also associate this card with good karma, so with the wheel being brought some positive things thanks to good karma. But you can see it whichever way you like. Also, so yeah, if this card is blocked, it's as if there could be some difficult circumstances being brought on that you have nothing to say about. You just can't do anything about them, and they keep coming and coming, and you feel like you have bad luck. But since the wheel is always turning, eventually it will turn around and you'll have good fortune. So this is the Wheel of Fortune, number 10. And after the Wheel of Fortune, we have number 11, which is the Justice. And in some decks, the Justice is actually number 8, while the Strength is number 11. So it depends on the deck. But in the Rider-Waite, Justice is number 11. So if you take a look at the card, just again, as the name suggests, justice. So things having a fair outcome, making sure that whatever you put out there, if you're acting fair, you will eventually reap the rewards. But if you're not acting fair, then justice will be served. And it's, if you look at the images, there are the scales, so weighing things up, and then justice also has the sword, so cutting off any confusion, any lies, anything that is not serving us. Also, in another way, it could talk about legal matters. It could talk about, going to the court with justice. So if you have such circumstances in your life, then sometimes the justice would show up. When justice is blocked, then yes, we might feel like things are not going fair, things are against us, just like with the Wheel of Fortune, that we've done all we could, and yet the outcome is not favorable, outcome is not fair. I would see it also as sometimes justice being taken to extremes when it's very ruthless, and when we feel, I feel bad for the other person, but they got what they deserved, because justice, I don't know if there's a saying in English, but justice is blind. That's how I believe. I mean, in this deck you can see the eyes, but I feel like in some other decks the eyes are being covered, just to show that justice only cares about all of the facts and the truth. So that is number 11 with the Justice. And after Justice, we are moving on to the Hangman. So if you look at the illustration, so with the Hangman, it always makes me think of a time of rest. It's time to pause. because we've been through all of these other things already on the journey with the Fool. We've learned a lot. So now the Hangman is saying, okay, now it's time to stop. Now it's time to take a pause and wait for things to develop. And because the Fool is upside down, it always makes me think of taking a different perspective on things. And if you would be this way, you perhaps wouldn't notice what's going on or how to change things. But if you turn around, if you go upside down, then you start seeing a way out, or you start seeing different options. And also, since this is a period of inaction, it's time of pause, it's allowing the universe and allowing other people to sort out their own issues. So you just step back and you say, okay, I will wait for the dust to settle, and then when I can see a clear path, this is when I will act. For the dark side of the Hanged Man, I would say being stuck in this inaction, when things are paused and there's just no way out and you have to wait and wait and wait, or you don't want to take action. So being stuck in this state. But yeah, on a positive way, just stepping back, not doing much, and seeing how things develop. So from this, we move on to the Death card. So the famous Death card. Here we go. So, and it's also number 13. How much worse can it get? So with the Death card, I don't see it necessarily as, well, death, literal death. But if we look at the symbolism, it's letting things transform. So moving from one situation and transforming it into something else. A very profound transformation, whether inner transformation or something that's happening outside. Also, the way I would see it is letting some things end and letting them go. And this in turn creates space for new things to come. Because if we keep hanging on to old things, then how can new things come if we have no space? So this is the Death card. The dark side of death, being scared of that transformation, realizing that, oh, if I let go, then I have nothing left, and this is it, and there's going to be this big hole in my life, and once things die, then this is it, there's nothing else waiting for me. Also, it could talk about trying to delay this process of transformation, because we know it's going to be uncomfortable and it's not going to be the easiest thing, because we have to step outside of our comfort zone. But whenever the death shows up in the reading, I would say it's a time of transformation, it is a time of letting go, so then we can welcome something new.